um, colleagues and students, alumni, friends, all of you and join us to today's distinguished industry lecture through your physical presence or through internet, online connection. Good evening and welcome. Today we are extremely honored and grateful to have Dr. Henry Tan, Chairman of the Textile Council of Hong Kong, and also the CEO of a multinational Luen International Group, to be with us to deliver this distinguished industry lecture. As a chairman of the Textile Council, which represents all the major textile and clothing associations in Hong Kong, and also a CEO of a multinational group, I would say no one is in a better position to deliver this talk and to help our students, our colleagues, to broaden their perspective about the development of our industry and the future, and how we can equip ourselves better for all the eventualities. Dr. Tan, apart from his distinguished career, he's also very committed to public service. He has been ITC's advisory board member for many years. Currently, he's also still very closely associated with PolyU. He's a PolyU court member. He's a chairman of PolyU's HKSAR advisory board. Also, he is the board member of Hong Kong RITA, which is hosted by PolyU. Apart from that, he's also an honorary court member of Hong Kong Baptist University, the honorary lifetime chairman of the Hong Kong Chamber of Textiles. ITC also have a very good connection with that association. He's extremely highly regarded by the public, honored with Bronze Bauhinia Star by the Hong Kong HKSAR Government, and also is an honorary doctor from University of Guam. It's a U.S. territory. So we are so lucky that we have such a distinguished personality from our fashion and textile industry to come here to speak to us. Yeah. So would you join me to give Dr. Tan a round of applause before I invite our dean to present a certificate and souvenir. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. So before his presentation, we'd like to present a certificate and a souvenir to Dr. Tan first. further ado, let's invite Dr. Zhang to deliver his talk.
，Dean Mr. Wong and Professor Fan, it's really good to return to PolyU to ITC. And I've been working in textile garment business for 30 years, so this is really my life and my job. So it's good to be able to come back here and try to share with our students and our industry and some of the faculty of what I think of the industry. Our industry is actually a very, very important industry. Chinese say 衣食住行. So long as human beings still very close, this is we still have a very, very big business to do. And we're actually in a very, very unusual time. And it's challenging, but while it's challenging, it's also opportunity. And I believe that, and I would like to take this opportunity to share with you what I know. And also, China is growing to become a bigger and bigger economy. And under one country, two system, Hong Kong has a special role to play in all sectors, including our industry. And I would like to share with you what I know about our industry. And Hong Kong being a British colony for 150 years, so we are really where the East and West met. And how can we get the best out of this whole thing? So today I will share with you a little bit about the history of our industry and some of the success story of our industry and how the rise of China affect us and why we think we can be a very, very good industry. Okay. Hong Kong's textile garment industry has about 70 years history in Hong Kong, I think after the Second World War. For about a decade, we are the biggest manufacturing base in the whole world. For I think it's during the 70s, we are the biggest manufacturer. And many of the successful Hong Kong businessmen and politicians actually come from our industry. The current chair of LegCo, Mr. Luen, also come from our industry. So the background of many successful businessmen in Hong Kong actually originated from textile and garment industry. Since China opened up in 1978, a lot of our industry start to move to Guangdong, and Hong Kong remain as an administrative center, and the manufacturing is done in Guangdong. And with quota in the last, in the old days, so a lot of our business actually manufacture in Southeast Asia. And until today, I think a lot of our Hong Kong own manufacturing are still in Southeast Asia. So right now we are really a management center. We continue to manage a lot of garments. And I was telling Hong Kong government that you cannot count the statistic of how many employment of Hong Kong people in our industry, because our industry actually is the controlling center of many manufacturing and business overseas. And there are many buying offices in Hong Kong. I think we are still the biggest sourcing center, although this is eroding to some extent in the past few years. Hong Kong also has many world-class textile and garment company, as you can see on the screen. And there are some categories which I think Hong Kong company is still the biggest in the world. The making of dress shirt, I think thanks to those Easy Care, I think that was partly is developed by Hong Kong Rita with TAL and intimate apparel. I think we have. I think ITC has a special in intimate apparel. I think intimate apparel production, I think we are the biggest. I think sweater, we are the biggest in the world. And luxury bags, I mean the better luxury bags, Hong Kong company control the biggest share. And therefore, we are still very important in some segment of the whole textile and garment industry. And we also have many, many local brands. And I must admit that the performance of those brands has been not as good as what we would like it to be. But I think, with all our effort, I think we should make them bigger and better. There are also more cooperations between Hong Kong and China. There are many mainland Chinese companies that invest into successful Hong Kong company. My own company, Luen Holding, we sold the controlling interest to Xiangtex. And Xiangtex is the biggest textile garment company, maybe on earth. So, there are a lot of successful investment by Chinese company into Hong Kong companies, and most of them are doing very good. And I believe that there will be more integration of two-way investment. As you see in this slide, there is about 133 textile, clothing, and accessory company that is listed in the Hong Kong stock market. Many of them are not based in Hong Kong. They are using Hong Kong's financial market. But I was saying that they are already having one of their foot in Hong Kong. And how can we invite them to do more in Hong Kong? And then we should attract them to have a better use of our Hong Kong infrastructure. The next 11 companies, they are over $10 billion market cap. And some of them are very familiar names, Samsonite and Uniqlo. Fast retailing is Uniqlo. They are very, very big, and they are already in Hong Kong in our financial system. The issue is how can we invite them so that they will also participate in the textile and the garment design and manufacturing and distribution. So they are here. I'd like to share with you, a successful one, Anta. Anta is probably the biggest textile garment company in China. They are number 3 sporting company in the world. And I'd like to share with you is my company. We actually do a joint venture with Anta and doing distribution in Southeast Asia. And I believe that I will share with you later on about my view of Chinese economy and Southeast Asia. But I think there is a lot of opportunity in cooperation with Chinese company going into Southeast Asia. We Hong Kong people, we understand overseas international better, and I think those are the opportunities. And many of our industry leaders have manufacturing in Southeast Asia. So we tend to know those places better, and we also know how to deal internationally better. I'd like to share with you, these are the top 10 apparel company in China. And according to Li and Feng's intelligence. And I point out number 6, Skechers. Skechers is actually a joint venture between our family and Skechers USA, and we are really now number 6 retailer in China. And the reason I say this is Hong Kong businessmen and Hong Kong students. If you try hard, you can be like me too, right? I mean, I start running a small garment company. Started with 50 sewing machine, and so I think there are a lot of opportunities. But I mean, it's not going to be just drop it to you, but you have to grab it, have to fight for it. And I think Hong Kong actually has a lot of reason to be successful. The next slide, I think not many people know. A very famous U.S. company called Tommy Hilfiger is actually, it used to be owned by a Hong Kong gentleman called Silas Chow. I think Professor Fan may know, Novotex is actually their family business. Mr. Chow, he invested into Tommy Hilfiger in U.S. and was able to sell it at its peak. And then investment again in a company called Michael Kors. I think the ladies know many of your bags called Michael Kors. The owner was Silas. And Silas sold the U.S. portion. I mean, at the peak, he still maintained the Asia portion. And another brand called Nautica, the owner is also a Chinese. He's a Taiwanese, my good friend. And he sold the business to VF, I think, 10, 15 years ago. But what I'm trying to say, there are a lot of successful stories that I like to let you know, so you'll be encouraged. As I say, Hong Kong is really a melting pot between East and West. And this is important because if we want to go to another place, you have to be able to be different. And when you are able to be different, that's where your success and that's where you can make difference in the business. The next slide is Hong Kong government is actually providing a lot of support to the whole industry. Other than PolyU, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 different government industry. I mean government institute that is supporting our industry. 2 of them is actually here, right? Hong Kong RITA and ITC. And also in the 2015 budget, the Hong Kong government is injecting 400 million additional dollars. So it's $500 million to our industry. And there is a lot of promotion. And I was talking to Professor Fan just now. I think there is a lot of money there. And I'm talking to the Hong Kong government too. The government do not have an industrial policy. The amount of money they spend in our industry is actually a lot, but they are not quite properly linked together. So from between teaching, research, industry, and government, and we are pushing for this. And I think we'll get it linked. But what I'm trying to say is there is a lot of government support. I mean, we are not short of support. Hong Kong RITA, Edwin told me when he asked for funding in LegCo, normally they ask them, if you need more, no problem. So I'm saying to you is government give us a lot of support. And we also, Hong Kong is a small city. We also have 5 of the top 100 universities in the world. Not many cities has so many good universities. I think the only one in the world that is more than us is London. I think we have more good university in the top 100, and ITC I think is one of the top fashion school in Asia. And Hong Kong RITA is actually one of the best research of textile and garment in the whole world. And so we have all the basic things. We have the best school, we have the best research, we have a lot of history, and we have a lot of government support also. I don't know whether you have looked at this video. Edwin was programming in this 看出個未來, and the industry. I'm trying to say our industry is not a sunset industry. There is a lot of innovation, and Hong Kong RITA actually doing a lot of them. And whether it is they are trying to say that old used garment can be recycled and make the new ones, and they are trying to devise it. In the future, you don't need an iPhone anymore. It's going to show up just on your clothes. So there is a lot of new things. And what I'm trying to say is when there are newness, it actually create opportunity. I mean, my friend Harry Lee, TAL, make a lot of money just from that wrinkle-free shirt. That technology developed it right here. I mean, I think he must have made billions of dollars just from one item, that wrinkle-free shirt. And so we do have a lot of newness. You see this, and you know this guy? Professor Fan. I think there is a lot of new things happening. The thing is, this is very important. I have a lot of Chinese friends that are doing distribution in China. I have a lot of US customers. They are all looking for newness. And whether it's new technology, new usage, or new fabric, or new performance. And I think over here, we actually have a lot of new things. And one thing I say, our commercialization is not the best. But I think with the Greater Bay Area initiative, I think we should try to do better. Because we have a lot of new ideas, but it has never been really being used up. While I was still running Luen Holding with Hong Kong Retail, we try to, if you wear a sweater, your biggest problem is it create, molab. And we actually have a method to reduce that, to improve that. But the thing is, we never commercialize it. It's only a machine that can do 200 garments. And in Hong Kong, we are the first to have the waterless dyeing. But I think that machine is still sitting in the lab, sitting in the warehouse. I think we should do better with our commercialization of new idea and new product. And if any of you that has not watched this beautiful video of Professor Fan, I suggest that you should go back and look at it. I think it's very, very inspirational. Ahead. Many of you heard about Belt and Road Initiative, and many of you heard about Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area. And next month, Chinese Congress is going to approve the 14 5-year plan. And we, Chinese government and also with ASEAN, signed up the RCEP end of last year. And these are actually of very, very important to Hong Kong and also very important to our industry. The Belt and Road Initiative, it is launched, I think, for 5-6 years now. It actually connects Asia and Europe. For thousands of years, Asia and Europe continent is never really connected. I think Tong Sam Zhong tried to walk it across. A few people try to walk it across. But I think that this whole connection is actually connecting the East and the West. And so far, and the connection actually improved trade. In the old days, our textile garment, we majority selling to Europe and US. With this connection in overland, and also the connection of Southeast Asia over rail and over road, I think it will provide a lot of trade. And Hong Kong being part of China, part of the Greater Bay Area, so our market is no longer just USA and Europe. We should explore not only the Chinese market, but Southeast Asian market. And I think this is very important. The Greater Bay Area Initiative, our positioning in Hong Kong is we will be an international financial center, and we will be the international innovation center. And this is very important. I was telling all of you just now, in Hong Kong, I think we do a reasonably good job in research, but we have not been able to do commercialization very, very well before. And I think with the proper integration of the Greater Bay Area, we can continue to do the initiative, to do the research, and we should make it easier to do commercialization in Guangdong and be able to manufacture them and sell to the world. And I think Hong Kong has the best research in our industry. The 双循环, the dual circulation, Chinese government is pushing very, very hard for domestic consumption and to push the economy, to add it with international circulation also. And you see, in the old days, when a Hong Kong company, a foreign company, you go to China, you want to do retail, you want to do brands, you go to Shanghai, go to Guangdong, go to Beijing. But really, I mean, the government is pushing very hard to go to the lower tier cities. And Chinese, actually, we have over 500 million people that is in the lower tier cities. And also there is a continued increase of middle class. So the domestic consumption is going to be very, very important. And this is newly released. Over the last Chinese New Year, that is just 2 weeks ago, government announced that total domestic sales has an increase over 2019. Right now, 2020 is a forgotten year. We compare 2021 with 2019, increased by 4.9%. So what it means is China has recovered from COVID-19 economically. And there are people saying that by 2023, China will be the biggest consumer country in the world. And I'd like to share with you, many of us go to Guangdong only. And in fact, in China, the new first tier cities that in this chart are all very, very big. And some of these cities are even bigger than many countries. They say the size of Guangdong alone is bigger than Korea. So I'd like to share with you, there is a lot of opportunity in China. And I mentioned just now, government is trying to push to go down. So that means consumption is not only in the big city, but also in the smaller city. Before Christmas, my son told me he went to 20 cities in 9 days. And he told me those cities' names. And I never heard about it. I thought I know China quite well. When they tell me this 20 city name, I never heard about it. But there is actually not only in the big city, there are a lot of opportunities in smaller cities. And for our students, I think when you are young, you can actually take a lot of risks. You should explore the world. Maybe I share some of my personal experience. When I was young, just now Professor was saying that I have an honorable degree from University of Guam. I was living in the Pacific Islands, and I have lived worked in Malaysia, in timber forests, virgin forest that has no electricity, no water. You go to you can still look at it you use hanpin, 大光燈. And what I'm trying to say is, while you are young, you should explore the world, whether it is rich, whether it's poor. And China, you should really go to look at not only the bigger city, but look at the different tier cities, so that there may be more opportunities. And also, e-commerce is getting to become very, very important in China. The country also is trying to increase its high-speed trains. We have completed 4x4. That means 4 vertical and 4 horizontal, and try to increase to 8 horizontal and 8 vertical. And the whole country will be connected. And when it's connected, it's very important. That means it facilitates trade. and facilitate commerce. And this slide is trying to tell you that digital is becoming more and more important. Right now, I think 30-some% of Chinese GDP is digital economy, and very soon it will be 50%. In fact, our own schedule business, we have close to 50% of our business last year is digital, is e-commerce, and we are very sure this year we sell more products over e-commerce than physical stores, and the changes of distribution actually create opportunities, because you may no longer need to have a physical store. And I was telling some of our industry friends, I say our students, not only you should teach them how to make garment, you should also teach them to become KOL. So when they design their garment, they can promote their garment too. And I'm not joking, you know. I mean, there are people that is producing them and try to promote them at the same time. And digital e-commerce, right now most of the e-commerce in the world is really within your own country. But I believe that very soon e-commerce will be cross-border e-commerce. There is no reason why if a product can be buy cheaper in Hong Kong. I mean, we buy from Alibaba from China, we buy from Amazon, we may go to Macy.com to buy from Macy. So I think e-commerce will become, cross-border e-commerce will become more and more important in the years to come. Our CEP is also very important because it creates a common free trade zone within Asia. You know that, I mean, in the old days, is US, Canada, Mexico is the biggest trade zone, and then Europe become a lot more influential when Europe combined together as EU. And I think our CEP is the initial form, and I think in the next 10, 15 years, we will have a more integrated Asia economy, and that would also facilitate trade. That means when you design something, you can sell throughout the whole region without duty, and there could be different manufacturing in different countries within the trade trade bloc. And so I'm saying that when duty and tariff and custom is eliminated, it would be a lot more efficient to allow international international e-commerce, not only the manufacturing. I'd like you to do a little bit takeaway on what I'm trying to say. Our industry is not a sunset industry. In fact, I think we have a high-tech industry. We should get the best out of it. And here in Hong Kong, we have the best research that I think the best research in the world. China has the biggest market, and we are part of China, and we should really try to explore. And ASEAN economy will grow very fast. Many of you probably know that a lot of the manufacturing start to move to ASEAN. Therefore, ASEAN economy is really booming. And with new material, new manufacturing method, new distribution method, it actually has a lot more business opportunity. And I'm trying to impress upon you that this place, Hong Kong, and our industry actually has a lot of future, but we just have to put it together and make it work. And I have also shared a lot of successful stories in our industry. And the question is, how are you going to grab this opportunity? I think with this, maybe Professor, you can have questions and answers and see anybody has any questions from our students or friends.
Thank you, Dr. Tang. It's a great sharing about the big pictures of where we are heading to. And especially I like the comments about the digital. So our programs definitely have that included. So our students now, they have the fashion communications in our program. So train them up as a digital retail. And today we have many students here. I would like to invite them to ask questions regarding the topics that we have today. And for participants through the Zoom and in the internet, you may type your questions in the chat room, and then I will ask the question for you. Okay? So maybe Dr. To can name some students that you in your. This is actually your class of fashion merchandising.
May I have a question?
Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. I'm very lucky to sit in front here to have the talk from you, because I'm having a factory visit to Luen, 15 years ago when I was a student. Yeah, I'm quite impressing at that time. This is really an amazing factory because it's like a garden. It's not like a production base with the facility like dormitory and also the work-life balance. One thing very impressing me is about when I visited factory. One thing is very impressing me is about there is a zone like a workplace for like the customization or like a collaboration with the referent. I think after 15 years ago, all the factory is seeing how we doing the customization or like collaboration with some brand in the manufacturing unit. I want to ask what things drive you stand in the front of the apparel industry? It is already 15 years ago, but you have the talents to have those set up in the factory.
You know, I think the industry should have a much closer link between brands, I mean the retailers, manufacturer, and the whole supply chain. I think our industry is a little bit more too disintegrated. So we work with Ralph Lauren, we work with other brands that we co-design, work with them. The site that you mentioned must be in Dongguan. And actually, right now we still have small manufacturing there, but we are converted the facility to be a development center, a marketing center for Skechers. And I told Professor Fan, I said maybe one day, you know, when we're able to cross the border without all the quarantine again, we'll be happy to invite the students to go back and take a look on how we run a retail operation in China. And we do a lot of photo shooting for product, and we invite KOL to promote our product. You know, sometimes they can promote over a very short period of time, you know, 100,000 pieces of the same product, and they have followers. So the whole distribution and has changed. So and the change is very challenging for the established company, but it also provides opportunity and easier for entry. If you are able to find one product and you can make it work. So all this change, yes, is challenging, but it's also provide opportunity. And as I say, you know, so long as human beings still wear clothes, we are there to make it work, right?
Thank you, Dr. Tan.
Thank you. And from the internet, I have one question from one of the participants. Let me read it out. He said, dear Dr. Tan, could you please share with us on your view on how COVID-19 impacts our textile and apparel industry?
It is true that COVID-19 has impacted our industry very badly. For China, it's actually not so bad because it shut down just for 2-3 months, and it recovered quite nicely. In fact, our 2020 number has a slight improvement over our 2019 number in China. And so that it is not that bad. But I think it has changed a couple things. Number one, it changed the distribution system. As I told you just now, close to 50% of our sales become over internet. And I'm sure by this year it will be 50%, more than 50%. So the whole distribution method has changed. The second thing is, there is a company that do it very, very well in our industry called Lululemon. And the thing is, people are spending more time at home. So product has changed because if you do not need to go to work, you do not put in a tie at home. So you are not as stressy. So I think people are moving from the dressier part to more casual for product. And I think for manufacturing or for development, we have to fit what the consumer wants. And I think we also need to create a more efficient system. There are some companies that has very, very high overhead, probably would not be able to survive. But I think it's a wake-up call, and I think we have to relook at the whole payment system and everything else too.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions from our Associate Dean?
Thank you, Dr. Tan. Luen Tai is our sponsor, a donor a few years for the Intimate Apparel Fashion Show. So we have the chance to visit your office. And I heard from your HR, because we always say we have students, whether they can go to your company. And the comment from the HR is, we want students to work overseas in Southeast Asia. So they need to be moved around because Luen Tai don't have the factory in China, or they're looking for actually students working in the Southeast Asia. Well, when we're promoting this job to our students, most of them, they are quite resist to go there. They just really want to find a job in Hong Kong, even a low pay. So could you comment something about that young generation, whether it's difficult for you to hire talent, and how do you encourage them to work not in the hometown and try to move around? Right, thank you.
I said earlier on, we really have to look at the world in a bigger way. Hong Kong is really too small, and especially in our industry, we do not have the manufacturing in Hong Kong anymore. So we really have to look at the minimum, really the minimum is Greater Bay Area. Greater Bay Area from Hong Kong to our Dongguan facility that you visit, when the border is open, Lin Tong Guan, I think from most part of Hong Kong to Lin Tong is about maybe 35 minutes. And after it depends how difficult it is to cross the border. After crossing border, it's just 30 minutes to our factory. It used to be about 2 hours. So it's with all the high-speed rail, you have to look at it at the minimum, Greater Bay Area. But if we want to stay in this industry, I think we have to look at Chinese market. I was telling Professor Pham before, our students go to London, go to Paris, go to New York. We should also promote them to go to China, because you will be able to get a better opportunity over there. And I have many of the Chinese brands are actually from Jinjiang, Xiamen, Xiamen, Jinjiang. And many of them are my good friends. They actually like to have some Hong Kong students. And actually what they really want is to have, to be able to get some product that is different. So while you are still in the school, and if you can learn from the gentleman sitting right in front of me, he has all this good idea. You see it in TV, you go to watch this video. All the brands, whether it's Chinese or overseas, or foreign brands, they are looking for something new product. And if we are able to link the research that is done right in this campus and be able to apply them. I think there is a lot of opportunity, but you have to link it. But in our business, I really do not think you can just sit in Hong Kong. And I was telling you, when I was young, I live in the islands, I live in the mountain. But while you are young, you should really explore the world, because you can fail and not much consequence. You know, when you are married, you get kids, you get a lot of obligation. But when you are young, you should really, you should not think about, I'm getting a lesser pay and stay in Hong Kong. You should explore the world. And you're not going to explore the world when you have a lot of obligations. So I really encourage you to go around, and I was happy to bring the students to the campus that you visit. Right now, we still have some manufacturing, and we are doing quick response. We get it developed on the site, and we make it right there. And there are also new manufacturing methods. I mean, how to make the fabric, how to make the garment, and happy to share with you, and how an integrated site, they do the development, to do the marketing, to do the manufacturing, and be able to ship to the consumer. And hope you can learn and see how it applies. I mean, happy to do so when the border is open without quarantine.
So maybe let me back to the questions from the internet, okay? And well, there's a few questions that are from different persons, but they are closely related, because they heard that you talked about the distribution channels and payment method. These kind of digital transformation will be very important in the upcoming. So they want to ask, in the next 10 years, how to build a more resilient fashion supply chain under the backdrop that there are so many political international in the international trade, and there's a dynamic international trade environment. So because you mentioned that there are different trade zones and trade agreements, but still there are between countries there was still some dynamics. So how can we, the question is, in the next 10 years, how the fashion supply chain can cope with these challenges?
I think number one, we should really look at our home market, which is Asia. The biggest and fastest growing market is just right within the 2 hours flight from Hong Kong. So I think we should really be able to expand in our home territory. And I know that there is more trade friction between basically United States and China. We do not know what may be the result from the new Biden administration. But it is not that difficult. Just like Luen Holding, we make them in Southeast Asia. And we make them in Philippines, in Cambodia, in Vietnam. And actually, they're quite easy to go now. You know, going to Cambodia now is very simple. It's very safe. Let me tell you, the first time I go to Cambodia, there is a bomb that blow off right in front of my hotel. And those were the days. You know, we are a lot more, you know, we need to fight, you know. The roads are very bumpy. When I say bumpy, that means it's not a paved road. So when the truck goes through, when it's muddy, you get like this, a few feet up and down. But right now, it's all very nicely paved road. So no problem. I think, you know, we just have to avoid countries that has trade friction. And believe me or not, no, our textile garment industry, we are the most mobile industry. You know, in the old days, we make them in Hong Kong, and then we make them in China. We go to Southeast Asia, and in fact, you know, if I'm younger, I would go to Africa. I go to Ethiopia. We always go after lowest labor and lowest duty.
Okay, great. I think your answer just answered a few questions at the same time. So because many questions are related, okay, regarding the challenges in the international trade. Yeah, and any questions from the floor? Maybe I ask about questions because it's one of the questions related from the internet. One of the participants asked, what do you think about the omni-channel strategy in the future? Because you mentioned that going for digital is important. So how would you imagine the future of the omni-channels?
I think that would definitely be the future because you want to reduce your inventory, or you want to reduce your inventory to the minimum. That means you have one set of inventory that is both your online and offline. That means you should be able to sell both. If a customer go to your store and that particular garment do not have the size or the color, but whether it's in the warehouse or someplace, you're able to ship it to their home. Or if somebody go into internet to buy, and it is not inventory in the warehouse, but it's an inventory inside a store that is close by to the customer, you should be able to deliver the product from the store to the consumer. What I'm trying to say is you should not miss sales. And if you do not miss sales, you must be able to connect all your inventory into one single database. So when the consumer, whether they visit you over the internet or they visit you physically, you are going to serve your customer. So I think Omni is definitely the future. I think it's not the future. Omni is now. And if you do not do it now, no, I think...
You lose the future.
Yeah, it is now. So you have to do it.
Okay, great.
Dr. Tan, I have a question to you. You once mentioned and tell us a very successful stories about the sketches, and also so you mentioned as a Lululemon and other titles of the what we call the lifestyle garment item. So that means that fashions always change, products change again. Will you give us some ideas of what would be in the future items that would be the most potentials?
You know, I think some of the things that are showing in the video by Hong Kong Rita on recycled garment, I think that is important because I think the whole world is trying to reduce carbon dioxide emission. I think we are trying to make a farm that is growing cotton for other cash crops, so we have a bigger population. So we should be able to recycle those garments and make them again. So I think that's number one. The other area I think is performance fabric, because performance fabric in the old days, if you remember, you know, we use very thick clothes to keep us warm, and right now using performance fabric, actually if you put the right layering, it's already very warm, and if it's hot, you know, like golf shirt. I mean, they are able to take the sweat, breathe it out much easier. So I think performance fabric and would be more and more important. And there are new technology, like what I say, I mean, I don't need an iPhone anymore, I just look at here, So I think innovation and new technology should apply to our industry. And there will be new manufacturing methods. Whether it is dyeing, printing, and all this would change the way we make the garment, and we just have to be able to keep up with those changes, not only in manufacturing, and that's why Hong Kong really is the best place. We have the best research capability, and we have the biggest market just right north of us. And how can we link it together? And I really mean it. And there a lot of opportunity is you that need to grab it.
Right. Thank you.
Okay. Maybe one last question from the internet. Okay, because it's connected to what you just mentioned about the new method. Because now we talked about Industry 4.0, we talked about AI and robotics. So one of the questions from the internet participant is, well, do you think that the AI technologies will be more and more important and later replace the labor productions, like the human actually doing the productions?
You know, I think AI, some of them consider collection of data, so we're able to forecast needs much better. So we're able to forecast whether color is doing better. And for production, it is true that there will be more and more automation. But if we, there's always a compromise. When things are automated, they cannot be too flexible. That means they cannot be too many styles. 50% of the world are men. You see him and me, we all wear the same collar shirt. When we run into each other, we don't feel bad. And how about the other 50% ladies? They hate to run into each other with the same color or the same cutting. So long as you're looking for changes, automation is actually more difficult. And I would say that there are certain products that can be automated, and there will be certain products that still need the very, very old and traditional way to manufacture. And I think this would continue to be the case. Okay. The only thing is, with better information, we probably be able to produce them more efficiently. And we should be able to produce them closer to market. I mean, I remember in the old days when I first get into this business, I get my flannel shirt order from Kmart, and they give me a 15 months delivery. I can produce and ship them next year, still okay. And nowadays, they're looking for 60 days and maybe 30 days. Yeah. So those are the changes.
Right, be more responsive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's conclude here. Thank you very much. And
concluding remarks, maybe. So I think one more thing Dr. Tan just shared, I feel not touched by the question, is that Hong Kong or Hong Kong people has a mixture of the Confucius and the Western culture, which is so unique. And I start thinking about it. Really, this is a great strength of Hong Kong and Hong Kong people. Taking, for instance, today, I invite Dr. Tan coming here for a lecture. If it's according to traditional Chinese culture, Confucius, will be complicated. I have to go through a lot of relationship to get him agreed. But here in Hong Kong, I just write an email, Dr. saying, fine, no problem, come. I think that is influence from the Western culture, if you agree. It's very simple, and the Western culture has some kind of advantage, I think, simplicity, without the relation, 关系 in Chinese. That's one thing. Another thing is I found the important strength of Hong Kong is Hong Kong actually has no border. Okay, we are international citizens, basically. So we can go anywhere to do business. I think the successful story of Hong Kong, the fashion and textile industry, is also because we are very dynamic, and bold to explore. On that point, maybe on my personal experience I can share with Dr. Tan is, I think I have never lived in Pacific, right, ocean region, but on one account, I beat you. I lived in Africa, okay, when I was young, right? And so, yeah, when you are young, you should be bold and adventurous. I mean, of course, taking all the precautions, like what I tell my daughters. Now she tried to be adventurous, but I say, no, be careful. Yeah, but of course, yes, I mean, be bold and take opportunities. But I think that one of the biggest challenges now is the world is changing, right? Before China, even Hong Kong, I mean, in the 50s, 60s, are not so advanced. We are exploring the world in the Western society. Now the opportunity is in China, and we have to think, with a paradigm shift, right? So that's something I feel I really need to learn from Dr. Tan. Also, I actually come from China, going to the world, see the world, but going back is sometimes it's a challenge, right? And for that, I want to actually I forgot one the honor Dr. Tan has. Dr. Tan is also the current Hong Kong deputy of the National People's Congress. Okay, and so he's really the best person to share what is going on in China and what are the opportunities for us. And with that, would you join me to thank Dr. Tan for the most inspirational talk?
Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for
so
so that I can come home and meet the people that is following my step 40 years ago. So I hope all of you be healthy and go to get vaccine as soon as you can, so we can have the cross-border easier. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tonight there is a dinner appointment because 很久没有应酬啊，很多朋友就在吃饭。